Hey, folks, welcome back to Keith's Vision. We are going to have an interesting week. We have an interesting week ahead of us. Monday's coming, right, as we know. And we're hearing a lot of chatter. Anybody that's listening, you got chatter going on. And the chatter is about whether or not Trump is actually going to make it. So let's start this show out, episode 65. I'm going to do something a little different today. We are going to cover what's trending on X. I happen to notice what was going on over here in the corner on X for trending, and OMG, Milley worked his way right up the list to just before my show. So let's get into it. I'll cover this, and then we'll get back into the show. This was just an interesting find. So from Johnny MAGA, breaking: Trump announces he won't be hiring anyone who worked for the Kochs, John Bolton, Nikki Haley, Pence, the Cheneys, Romney, Paul Ryan, Mark Milley, Jim Mattis, or Mark Esper. He just flat says, not going to happen. As of today, the incoming administration, the Trump administration, has hired over 1,000 people for the United States government. They are outstanding in every way, and you'll see the fruits of their labor over the coming years. We will make America great again, and it will happen very quickly. In order to save time, money, and effort, it would be helpful if you would not send or recommend to us, and this is out to his peeps, right? Send or recommend to us people who worked with or are endorsed by Americans for No Prosperity, headed by Charles Koch, dumb as a rock John Bolton, this is Trump, Nikki Haley, Mike Pence, disloyal warmongers Cheney and his psycho daughter Liz, Mitt Romney, Paul Ryan, General with a question mark, Mark Milley, James Mattis, Mark Esper. Yeah, that's a Freudian slip there, huh? Or any of the other people suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, more commonly known as TDS. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Milley has been climbing the charts today after this thing came out. People were just hitting him hard. So Clandestine says Trump just gave the middle finger to the establishment wing of the GOP. Crixus comes in. Should General Mark Milley be court-martialed? Yeah, we've been saying that since at least Afghanistan. Navy SEAL who supports Pete Hegseth drops fiery statement about Biden's woke military. He says the White House was being run by 25-year-old staffers for 4 years. Senator General Mark Milley should be called back into service so he can be court-martialed for what he did in Afghanistan. Bingo. Absolutely. Big time. Here's another one. I don't call Donald Trump phoning China behind the president's back to warn them like Milley did that to President Trump. Don't worry, China. We'll let you know if Trump's going to pull anything on you. And that's pretty well documented. So I would look forward to a court-martial. Absolutely. General Mark Milley didn't mince words about Trump. Called him a fascist to the core and the most dangerous person to the United States ever. I wonder if he really knows what a fascist is. General Mark Milley literally committed treason. This is from A Good Shepherd. And then bragged about it with a smile on his face. Any other country, he'd be executed. These comments are pretty heavy duty. They are definitely feeling it. And then, of course, the General Milley infamous picture. If Mark Milley is ever convicted of crimes, I could see him using that opportunity to transition over to a woman. We'll get to the bottom of this Chinese spy balloons after we finished our extensive pronoun training. Isn't that the truth? This thing goes on and on. If you're on X, go to the trends. It looks like Vivek just popped up. There's a lot of talk about him too right now. Trump wants to put him in the senator spot that's open, and there's a lot of people that don't trust him. But it's like he's either going to be in Doge or he's going to be as a senator. If Trump trusts him enough to put him in there, I think I would support that. All right, let's switch back here. Anybody remember the movie Deliverance? You remember the kid? I came across this today. Ever wonder what happened to that creepy kid from Deliverance? Boy, does he look like Joe Biden or what? Okay, to help support the show, if you've enjoyed the show and you're getting anything out of it, I'd appreciate any support you'd be willing to give. $1 or $5, doesn't matter. Enough people support and it'll help pay for the show. You can go to Give, Send, Go. That's one of the places I have. And then I'm also on Venmo. And both those QR codes work for that. You can go to the YouTube channel that we'll discuss later. And then there's one other one that we're doing the full 30-minute video on. And that way you can come back, and these things have been on here for several months now. So social media updates. So we used to put the videos out on GCD Network, and mine would be posted under my archives. Now we've made that change. I've updated these QR codes accordingly. So Instagram is Keith's Vision GCD. You'll find video shorts there. Keith's Vision 1/media at X, and that's where you'll get the videos. It'll just take you directly to there. That QR code also works directly to that. Oop, went too far. Social media updates on the YouTube. So YouTube is going to have full videos and shorts. And I've updated this QR code to take you straight to the shorts. So it drops you into all of the different short videos and give you a little taste of what has been going on, in case you don't have time to just sit back for 30 minutes and watch a whole show. And then on TikTok, full videos. Keith's Vision GCD. So the thing that has been happening this week, and I kind of talked about it last week, that we have going on, is you have people that are, yeah, I got to touch on this before I go too deep in, but you have people that are insinuating that it is going to be an attack of some sort. We all know what kind of attack, right? There's some that sound credible. There's been some hinky messages coming from the White House. I'm going to show you what I got. You leave it up to yourself. All I know is I'll be on the other side of the country in Southern California, loving the fact that the wind is gone and the firemen and women can be able to start knocking those fires down. So this came out today. And the headline just grabs you, right? 145 Dems vote against bill to deport immigrants or migrants, sorry, Fox could get in trouble for that, who commit sexual assault. So they voted against it. So these are moms, dads, aunts, uncles, and representatives of constituents for their area. If you look at the final, after the tally was done, Republican was 213. They voted for it. 6 were a no vote. They were either there and didn't vote, or they were off premises, or whatever the case may be. Democratic votes for it. This tells us what's going on in the Democrat Party, just from a 60,000 foot view. Just leave everything else out. 61 Democrats voted for this bill to punish and export illegal immigrants that do these sexual assaults. 145 said, nope, we want to keep them here. And 9 were a no vote. Independents, nobody voted. This is what's wrong with our country. I have said it a couple times, and I will probably say it more. The Democrat Party seems very much like the minions of Satan himself. We know we're rolling into the last days. Who votes for something like this? Who votes against it? That's insanity. If that was your daughter, would it change your vote? That's what I would want to ask them. It's insane. Why do they want to keep them here? Votes. All right, I'm off my soapbox from that one. So, Lulu on X, I just came across this yesterday or the day before. What does Joe know that we don't know? Joe tells his staff to be out of Washington, D.C. before the inauguration. Why would he do this? So, interestingly enough, I did a search on this. I asked Grok, which is X's AI, and I also asked Gab.ai for that exact thing. Joe tells his staff to be out of Washington before the inauguration. And both came back that there were a lot of posts and pictures stating this, but there was no credible source of the actual information. Now, are Gab and X working together to hide information? I'm just presenting it. Those are my two go-tos to try to figure out something. If it smells hinky, let's go check it out, see what the answer is. And if they both come up with something different, there's some hinkiness going on there big time. So let's move a little further into that. So Hustler, yeah. What the hell did Biden's national security advisor just say? This is a 26-minute clip. I will turn the video up for you. And he presents this in such a way that he's outgoing. This is his last time at the podium, unless something happens. Really? Seriously?
I just will say one last word, which is this is. I hope this is my last time at this podium, at least for a little while. I don't mean that in a negative sense. I mean, the only thing that would bring me back is an unexpected event in the next few days, which, as you all know, is totally possible given everything you've seen over the course of the past years. But if it is, in fact, my last time before you, I just want to say thank you for what you.
Wow. National Security Advisor. If there's anybody that's going to be in the know, and why would you place that at the end of that statement of I'm leaving, unless something happens? Why do that? What does that do? They're creating fear. They're doing a very good job of it too. So here's another thing Chatty Patty came up with. She found that this came off of Alex Jones, a top Pentagon. I got to get Alex Jones to go away. A top Pentagon advisor was fired after revealing plot to protect people from Trump. Interesting. The advisor to the Joint Chiefs of Staff admits to participating in a huge meeting with military leaders to undermine Trump in undercover video. You can go to Alex Jones' site. This was on January 15 at 11:09 in the AM. It's already got 27.4 million views. There's a lot of people watching that. But essentially, you have a couple different resources, including the National Security Advisor, um, telling us something might happen or could happen. Um, I am not here to sow fear. I'm here to peel back the rug and see what's in there. And that's what I'm doing. I would expect that you would go out and research this stuff yourself. All I know is I'm going to be wearing my sunglasses on Monday, just in case a white flash occurs, so that I can see it before I meet my maker. That's a joke for all the left people that might watch this show. So, Karen Bass, she's the LA mayor. She gave city workers rich contracts before cutting fire department budget. Really? The budget is huge. She cut out 17.4 to 17.6, so we call it 17.5 for fun. So she handed over these fat contracts before she cut resources to the fire department. Mussolini and Bass have been saying there have been no cuts. All of the reservoirs were full, which we know is false. The one in the Pacific Palisades was under construction and nobody was doing anything with it. They were just, yeah, it's under construction. And these people didn't know, but those people did. This is how our government works. So that's just a piece, right? Here's DC Drano. Oh, here's the budget. How about that? Overtime sworn, she cut $2 million. Overtime variable staffing, 6.9 million was cut. Why would you cut variable staffing? Wouldn't that fall into the firemen coming in from other states, in which NYPD offered to send firefighters to help with this? JetBlue offered to fly them for no charge, and she said, "Nah, we don't need them." While the whole city's burning down. Contractual services. This is interesting. It went up. She added $4 million. What are we doing with those contracts? Uniforms. Cut 1.5 million to uniforms. Are we cutting staff soon? I don't know. What kind of budget is this? This is California. This is California. The wind blows and we burn. It's just a mathematical equation that nobody can deny. Office administrative staff, 250,000. Hey, maybe that was a good idea, right? Operating supplies. This is the biggest one. $12.8 million cut from operating supplies. What could that be? Lord knows. It could be anything that the fire department needs. Every day that goes by, something new comes out that is just insane, absolutely insane. So, yep, I live in California, known as California. And we have some really lunatic people out here that like to save stuff. We've saved that Delta smelt, which is not really being saved. But hey, as long as they feel good about themselves, blowing up dams and holding water back and sending water to the ocean when we're going to need it. So Croc Stout comes across this article. In the Weeds, how eco-bureaucrats halted a Pacific Palisades fire safety project to save, wait for it, an endangered shrub. I am sorry to say I live in California. Yeah. So they went ahead and decided that they're not going to prune the forests. so that if anything hits the ground, it doesn't just turn into a torch. If they were clearing the forests, they would have had the ability to work around this stupid little shrub. I doubt that shrub survived because we had fires all over the place, and this one was the Palisades fire. To save a shrub. I believe in Genesis it talks about man will have dominion. Yeah, go read it. It's insane. A shrub. People. Really? Oh, and this, see, we're looking back at and seeing this. This is all coming out as a result of this. It's insanity. So Grok, during all this time, we were hearing about the $100 million that Mussolini cut from the budget. And he kept saying, I cut no such thing from the budget. I did not. So I hit Grok up, AI, to see what kind of articles are out there talking about this. Governor Gavin Newsom signed the 2024 through 2025 California state budget into law June of last year, 2024, which included a reduction of $101 million from funding for wildfire and forest resilience programs. As the left are saying, raking the forests. Yeah, you just use bigger equipment. This budget cut was enacted months before the recent wildfires in Los Angeles began. Interesting. So I said to myself, shouldn't we go and see what one of these resources say? And I did. This is Newsweek. Gavin Newsom cuts $100 million from fire prevention budget before the California fires. And he claims he didn't do this. I don't know. CBS is probably not reporting this. I just about guarantee that. So the 2024 California state budget, which Governor Gavin Newsom signed in June, slashed funding for wildfire and forest resilience by $100 million as a part of cutbacks, according to an analysis by the state's legislative analyst office. In other words, a bean counter. However, there's a silver lining. However, overall, California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, CAL FIRE's wildfire protection budget has increased sharply from $1.1 billion in 2014 to $3 billion in 2023, a little over a year ago. Okay, much of which took place after Newsom became governor in 2019. Yay, Mussolini! Yeehaw! Gain the money. Now, where are we going to shift all that money to, right? Speaking in Newsweek, a spokesman for Mussolini said that under the governor's leadership, that I would not call it that. CAL FIRE budget had doubled, whilst the department's personnel went from 5,800 to 10,700 over the same period. Now, this is interesting because the fire chief yesterday, I believe it was, they cornered her on camera and said, what was the biggest problem we had? And she said, we did not have enough staff. We did not have enough fire people and equipment to fight these fires. But we increased it to 10,700. This article goes on. You can go to newsweek.com, Gavin-Newsom. You can snapshot that and go read this whole thing. Double it up and then trim the fat. A little over here, a little over here, a little over here. Big thing is, where did that 101 go? That's a big question. It's a very big question. And we may never find out. It's going to be very interesting. So let's move on. This was from last week. I left this in here because any of you that missed last week's need to know what's going on biblically. These verses talk about nothing changes in the Bible. However, as I spoke last week, there's a new NIV gender Bible. I would not want to be that publishing company or the people that wrote it. Revelation 22, 18 and 19. For I testify to everyone who hears the words of the prophecy of this book. If anyone adds to these things, God will add to him the plagues that are written in this book. 19. And if anyone takes away from the words of this book, of this prophecy, God shall take away his part from the book of life, from the holy city, and from the things which are written in this book. Now, anybody that has become a Christian or follower of Jesus, because to be a Christian now is like I was born a Christian. Christian is like the in thing or whatever. And it's going out because they're changing things. They're doing a lot of DEI in churches now, and man, just run. Run, Forrest, run. It's nuts. Be very cautious about these churches. If they're not opening your Bible, right? If you can't open your Bible and follow along and say, okay, yeah, that's what God said. If you can't do that because they're telling stories and everything else, or their book doesn't read like your book, the versions are very, very similar. There's not much deviation. Some versions actually read better than other versions. But if you can't follow along or you can't challenge the pastor, run. Your soul is not worth it. Policies for the people. I've had this in here for a little while. It's a good place to go. This has been set up to get feedback from the people. You can click on that link or that QR code. It'll take you to the site where people are submitting ideas to the new administration. And those ideas, you can monitor what's going on, if they're moving it up the list or what they're doing. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. This Trump administration is doing more before he even gets sworn in than Joe did his entire 4 years of sleeping, in which, 540 or 570 days was vacation? Yeah, we're in for a big change. And anybody that had heard about that, about the ceasefire with Hamas, that thing's teetering because Hamas is pulling some more rigmaroles. Typical. Earth is preparing for a war. Heaven is preparing for a wedding. Choose your destination while you still can. Once you pass over the other side, there's no going back. Second Amendment, that will stay there, and it shall not be infringed. The help me sign, big one, okay? We need to teach this to family and friends. Everybody needs to know about it. Trafficking and everything else has been on the rise, and we need to be aware, head in the game. And Tower Garden, you can snapshot that to get to Tower Garden link, where my main page is. Your own lettuce, grow it. Tastiest lettuce you'll have. And I will cut it on over to our next participant, Dr. Brett Dillon. Give me a second while we get us all straightened out, and look forward to seeing you next week and also chatting with you on my social media sites.